All right, so you watched last night's game.
I did. Well, first to start here. All right, this is going to be our NFL episode. We're going to talk about all the NFL things we need to talk about. But before, this is a disclaimer. Everyone needs to know that all my picks that I'm going to talk about, I'm making as an educated, I know what I'm talking about. I watch a lot of NFL games and I know a lot about football picks, right?
Okay.
In my own head, the Rams are winning the Super Bowl. And until it's
Oh,
mathematically impossible, that's my belief. So that's off the bat. I need to let everyone know that I actually believe, real life, that the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl literally until it's mathematically impossible.
I'm glad you said that because as I was writing down my notes for this episode, we'll get to it, but I got to a certain AFC championship game and I had to stare at my paper for a while, and I'll just say that I too believe what I wrote down here isn't, what I feel in here. And I too believe that this is the Bills' year, and a lot of years it's the Bills' year, but it's not the Bills' year, and I have a realistic bone in my body. This year it actually is, dude. But so that's a good disclaimer. I think that was
All right,
wise.
cool. Yeah, because I got the same thing. I got to choosing my NFC West champion, and I'm like, Rams. And I was like, man, wait, the NFC West is really good.
All right, we'll get there.
All
But
right,
let's
cool.
start with last night, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on the game, not the X's and O's of the game, but just kind of the game in general.
I don't know. All right, so I think the Chiefs are going to be really good. And I don't think the Texans are as bad as they looked. I think the fact that they were playing the Chiefs made them look worse. Also, there wasn't a lot of penalties, but it was still kind of sloppy.
Dude,
you can tell they haven't played any actual football in a really long time, and
yeah,
that's
I said that to Jamie. It felt like a high level scrimmage. Without trying to sound without that sounds like a little too harsh, but it felt like part of it is the lead up to the game was not to me. I don't know. To me, wasn't what it usually is. Because even the
no,
preseason sucks, but on that third game when you see the starters and it's okay, then they rest up for week 4 and then it's actually interesting to watch week 4 because if you're really into it, like we are, it's okay, who's gonna make the final 3 roster spots, and you're kind of following it, and then there's just calm before the storm, and then it all starts. It just kind of
yeah,
started. It just kind of felt flat.
yeah.
But
If compared to last year, for example, I went to a Jaguars training camp here in Jacksonville. I was into it from the beginning. From
yeah,
June, I was following training camps. I went to a training camp. I was following the Rams roster all the way through. I listened to fantasy podcasts, all summer. So I was like, it was a big deal. And this year, it wasn't the same. There was no training camp news. There was no preseason games, and you're right. The pretty much the season snuck up on me yesterday.
yeah.
It was if it wasn't for maybe my fantasy drafts earlier in the week, I probably would have been like, oh man, there's a game
Yeah.
today. You know what I mean?
In the fourth quarter of a blowout, but for some, it's either the only game on, so you'll want to watch it, or it's your favorite team, so you're gonna watch it either way. But the sound of a fourth quarter blowout when people have left and they're kind of half care. Not that the fans in the stadium didn't care about the game, but there was 17,000 of them. So from the beginning, it felt like a fourth quarter blowout. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
sounded like watch, and you see the empty seats and just the way it sounded. It sounded like not a big deal. I don't know how else to say it. So it just kind of made me, I don't know, just felt a little disappointing and flat. But I mean,
So I heard that they're gonna be pumping noise in, right, for the
mhm.
games, for the ones that don't have fans, and they have a 7 decibel limit on the amount of noise they can pump in. And the weird thing is though, I don't think they're doing different noises for oh, the crowd cheering because the home team had a big play. I think it's just gonna be constant weird noise, which is weird because you're gonna be the
That is
crowd's gonna be chanting or whatever no matter what, and it's
such a mess.
I like the MLB did a good job of I mean, every once in a while, like it'll be like a base hit and the crowd will go wild. But other than that, they did a pretty
Or
good job of.
or it'll be like a 3-run home run, and it's like, yay! All right. You know what I found though is this like the crowd, like the kind of murmuring crowd noise. It actually sounds really good on the radio. It sounds right.
Yeah.
It sounds just like it does, which is interesting. On TV, for some reason, it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't pick it up as good, or the fact that I'm staring at cardboard cutouts changes
Yeah,
it. But
just empty seats. I
yeah,
don't like
it's
that.
weird. I just really hope
Yeah.
it's all back. But the thing is, like, okay, so when's the NBA regular season gonna start? January,
2 months.
February. So like,
Is it gonna be a shortened season? Have they said anything yet?
I think it's gonna be a shortened season, and I think they're gonna try to start playing in like January. But like, they're not gonna let fans in January at this rate. There's no way. I mean, some will, right? That's the whole thing. Some states totally would. Some states absolutely won't. So then the league was just like, all right, no fans. So it's just
Jacksonville has
like,
fans.
how long is
I
this
can go
going?
watch. I can go watch a Jags game this Sunday if I want to.
Oh, they play the Colts.
Yep.
Yep.
Go watch Phil Rivers.
All right, let's get into the picks, and let's just start in the AFC, and let's just start in the East because it's the first thing I wrote down on my paper,
Me
and
too.
I want you to go first.
All right. I went with the Buffalo Bills in the East.
That's what I'm talking about.
Got you, dude.
So did I.
So I figured you would, but New England has the highest strength of schedule in the NFL right now. So they have a tough schedule. They lost a lot of obvious pieces, not just Tom Brady, but their defense isn't going to be as good.
Yeah, like 5 dudes opted out.
Yeah, and their defense wasn't that great last year. They had the first half of the season where they were just dominant, and everyone was like freaking out, saying Patriots defense is like the best defense of all time. They played Pittsburgh without Big Ben, Miami, the Jets, the Bills, which was probably the best offense they played this entire time, the Washington Redskins at the time, the Giants, the Jets again, and Cleveland. And then, right, so they played no good offenses. And then the next game was against Baltimore, and Baltimore lit them up.
Yeah.
I don't remember. They lit them up. So I don't think their defense was that great to begin with. So, obviously their offense isn't going to be as good. So I think they're going to regress a lot. Obviously, I don't think the Miami Dolphins or the Jets are going to win that division. So I'm going with the biggest arm. I'm going with Buffalo.
I'm taking Buffalo too. And New England's tough because it's like for 20 years they've played in a terrible division. Let's just be honest. And so it's like kind of like what you're saying, like, well, how good are they? Because they're getting 6 automatic wins. The Buffalo Bills they're like 2-20 and or like 3-20, in the last decade and a half against them. It's just like they're always just kicking the AFC East ass so much that they just kind of like stroll into the playoffs. But I don't know that I'm that big of a believer in Cam Newton. And we can get into more of that later because I picked them for my wildcard team. But I'm taking Buffalo. I really think they're going to do it. I think Buffalo has a top defense. And if Josh Allen he took an incremental step up last year from the first year, like an obvious statistical across the board. And the roster is so improved from where it was last year that, the defense is pretty much the same with a couple of different pieces. Lorenzo Alexander retired, but they filled in the gaps in different ways. And now they got Stephon Diggs, and people don't remember that, like, Kelvin Benjamin was the number 1 receiver on the Buffalo Bills 2 years ago. And so it's like, it was rough when Josh Allen just came straight into the league. So now he finally has weapons. I think he's going to take another increment. I don't think he's going to be the best quarterback in the history, But I think if he takes just another incremental step up, just like he did last year, I see them winning 10 games. They won 10 games last year. I can't see how they don't win 10, 11 games this year. But anything can happen. But I think
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
it
They
is their year to win the East.
also have a good running game. You didn't mention it, but Singletary's there, and I don't think either of them's gonna have a good year between him and Moss. But I think that together they're gonna have a decent season for the running game. It's gonna really
Singletary,
open up.
yeah. So last year, real quick, Frank Gore started the first half of the season. He got the first 8 games, and Singletary just came in relief. And then they switched, and Singletary started the second half of the season, and Frank Gore just kind of came in relief. And Singletary he didn't have a statistically huge year because, like I said, he didn't start, but he had a great year on the ground. He averaged over 5 yards per carry, and now they've essentially just replaced Frank Gore with their second round draft pick Zach Moss, and they're ready to go. There's always people in Buffalo, Bills fans get pretty upset with our offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll, but I think he's not as bad as people think. And so if the offense can just stay on track, Josh Allen can take an incremental step up. I think it's their division to lose.
I agree.
New England's going to be a challenge, though. Cam Newton's a real wild card, but
And Bill Belichick.
yeah,
you never know. You never know.
For sure. All right, AFC South up next. I'll let you go first again.
All right. So this one was a little tougher. None of the teams. I mean, there's worse teams, but I went with the Titans again. I think they're the best team in the South, and I don't know. They're gonna have defensively they're pretty good. They got Vrabel there as a coach. He's got that Patriots mentality, and he's I think pretty good defensively. Plus, offensively, they're just gonna hammer Derrick Henry, which is fine. I think it'll work.
See, I don't know if it'll work.
I think so.
It obviously worked last year.
Worked the playoffs in the second half of the season.
Exactly. And sometimes I think, especially with running backs, especially in the league now, I think that just doesn't last that long. And there's already a thing where a team kind of overachieved because of one aspect, and then teams kind of adjust and they take that aspect away, and then they kind of struggle. So I think they have a little bit of that, and I think they have a little bit. Not that Derrick Henry's not a good player, but just running backs just don't dominate they dominate for short windows in time, and I don't know that it's going to be able just to be a repeater, a continuation of the playoffs.
I agree, but Derrick Henry's also a bigger back. He's not a small, frail running back. So I think he's more or he's better at taking hits than most running backs. And also, the other teams in the South they're not great. So you got Jacksonville, who's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick next year.
They're tanking.
they're getting a good quarterback.
They might not even have to tank, but I think they're tanking anyway, just to make sure.
What they're probably going to do is somehow win 6 games and just really mess up their chances at getting whoever they want to get. They should probably get a quarterback, specifically maybe one out of Clemson.
Yeah, perhaps.
Houston, I don't know about Houston. They're a wild card too. I don't think their offensive line is good enough to defend Deshaun Watson. If he's running around, he's probably going to get hurt. The receivers are iffy. I think Will Fuller was their number 1 receiver yesterday, and he did all right, but it's Will Fuller.
Dude.
And then I think in Indianapolis, it all depends on, is Phil Rivers' arm going to hold up? Who knows? He was throwing some ducks last year, so.
Yeah, he did not look good last year. But I am gambling that now it's not like San Diego with some harsh conditions, okay? San Diego in the soccer stadium, but I'm gambling. I'm going with Indianapolis. They play indoors in a giant brick stadium. I think he has a little bit left in the tank. And I think Indianapolis with Frank Reich as head coach is a good place to get the last out of him. He worked with Frank Reich when they were together in San Diego. They're familiar with each other, and they had success. Phillip Rivers has had success for like 15 years. And so he did not look good last year. But if you can just limit some mistakes, they had a really good running game last year. They have the best left guard in Quentin Nelson in the NFL. If they're just going to run behind him, I think if Phillip Rivers can he completed a higher percentage of his passes to the running back more than of any other quarterback in the entire NFL. I think they're going to just roll with that and try to use that as an advantage. He kind of dinks and dunks and passes off, take less risks. And I think, like you said, I just don't really believe in any of the other teams. I don't believe in Ryan Tannehill. I already said what I think about the running game in Tennessee. Jacksonville, I don't really need to mention. And Houston has their GM is their head coach, and I think he's overrated at both. So I'm taking the Colts.
Yeah, I'm adding on to that. Tennessee, Ryan Tannehill, like you said, I don't know. If you give a quarterback coming out of Miami a chance, you never know. He might surprise you.
Yeah, you never know. Just keep the hope. I actually don't think Ryan Tannehill's that bad, and I think Adam Gase sucks. And Adam Gase was part of the Tannehill prime era, and I think that reflects badly on him. I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he's that great either, but I don't know. That division's certainly up for grabs. So
I'll say this. I think if Phil Rivers plays well, I think Indianapolis has a very good chance of taking it, especially since I think somebody can win the AFC South with like a 9-7 record. I think exactly. 9-7 can probably win the AFC South. So
totally
you never know. It's a toss-up. All right, where do you want to go next?
Let's go to the North.
You can go first this time.
Okay, to me, this seems clear.
All right, good.
I see a clear winner coming out of the North, and I see the Steelers
Cleveland.
winning.
Oh.
And it's Cleveland, next division. What are we talking about? So,
ooh, all right.
Lamar Jackson is phenomenal. The Buffalo Bills held him in check last year in like week 15. And I think it's kind of like I said with Derrick Henry, but even more so with a running quarterback. I think he's just going to have a huge regression to the mean. And not that he's not a good passer, because he actually is a pretty good passer. But I just think that teams are going to adjust to it's not just him doing things with the offense. The offense is completely designed and built around him, which makes sense and is a really good way to do it. But I think teams are going to slowly adjust to the way the offense is. I do think that Harbaugh's a really good coach. And so I think they're going to be a good team. But I think with a healthy Ben Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh roster looks pretty good, and I think they're going to take it.
All right. I also thought it was clear, but I went with the Ravens. I think I'm on the opposite of that. I think I agree that defenses are going to adjust to their offensive style, but I think that Harbaugh, who is a great coach, will also adjust. He's got the most athletic quarterback in the league. His backfield is also very good. They just picked up J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be another weapon for him in the run game. And the receivers aren't bad. I mean, Brown was killing it last year, and I think he's only getting better. So if Lamar Jackson develops as a passer, I think that offense is going to be unstoppable. Their defense isn't bad either. They have, some good defensive backs. What's his name from the Rams? Oh, Marcus Peters is there. He's pretty good. I like him.
He actually won the game. He actually won the game for them against the Bills last year. He broke down a fourth down play in the end zone and won the game.
So they got a lot of talent, a lot of athleticism all over them, and I think it comes to a point where these are two very good teams. I think they're pretty evenly matched, but I think where you think that the more stable safe team's going to win, I think the more athletic faster team is probably going to win that matchup.
I buy into the argument that at the end of the day, the accurate pocket passing quarterback in the NFL will always eventually be better than the super athletic running quarterback. And my favorite team has a super athletic quarterback and runs a lot. So it's not like a bias thing. I just think like if you look at who is winning championships and who is winning Super Bowls, I think more like way more often than not, it is the kind of stable pocket passer type quarterback. And I think
Yeah, but
Ben
check too.
Roethlisberger will
Like,
be that guy.
look at where the league is turning now.
Yeah, but is it?
Yes. Who won the Super Bowl last
It
year?
was in
The more
2004. It was in 2002 when Michael Vick came in too, but it's like they didn't.
Michael Vick was the only one. Who, like, think about right now? There's Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Patrick Mahomes is a passing quarterback.
Patrick Mahomes is very athletic.
He's extremely athletic, but he's a pocket passing quarterback.
No, he's not. He moves around the pocket all the time. He makes most of his throws on the run.
You're right, but he's not.
I agree. He has a great arm. Yes, I agree. He has a great arm. He has a rocket for an arm, but he's an athletic quarterback that moves around the pocket.
I agree, but he's still a passing quarterback. He's not a running quarterback who you try to get to throw some passes sometimes.
He is out of those, he is the most.
Patrick Mahomes is not like Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson.
No, he's not that, but he is a mobile quarterback.
Well, yeah, mobile quarterback and running quarterback are totally different.
And he has to pass the ball. All he has to do is throw it up as far as he can, and all his receivers run 4 threes. So, like, yes, I would pass the ball too if I had that receiving core.
He's not running.
He can make plays with his feet.
He's not running the option run as part of a stable offensive play as for the offense like Lamar Jackson is.
No, and I'm not saying full-blown running quarterback. So that's what I'm saying. If he develops the pocket passer, he's going to be better. You don't need to be a straight pocket passer to be good in the NFL. I think your advantage is if you're a mobile quarterback that can throw the ball. Like, think about it. Who's been the best quarterback for the last I don't know how many years. It's been Russell Wilson, and the reason he's so good is because he's able to escape the pocket and he can throw the ball.
Yes,
like that.
Yeah, we totally agree on that. A mobile quarterback is definitely a good thing, but like Russell Wilson is like a pass first quarterback. He's not a running quarterback.
Which is why I'm telling you that if Lamar Jackson develops the passer, he has a good arm.
That the Ravens offense isn't designed in that way.
Because
I'm saying the Ravens offense is taking advantage of Lamar Jackson's strengths, which is his freakish athletic ability and his running ability, and they're like literally running the option out of the I form.
And you don't think that as he develops that Coach Harbaugh is gonna adapt and change the offense?
He might. He might. Whether or not his quarterback is up to it, I don't know. I'm not so confident.
I think he is. I think he has a good arm.
He does have a good arm.
He has a good arm. He can make the passes.
All right. We'll see.
All right. So
I'm just trying to think, when's the last time? Okay, I understand you're saying that if he changes, if he develops,
my take is that I think he will. My take is that I think he will.
My take is that I don't know that he will, and I feel like more often than not, they don't.
Like who?
Well, Michael Vick for one, but he's not you don't always want to go back to him. But I'm hoping Josh Allen. Josh Allen's he's huge, he's athletic, and he's mobile. And his first year in the league, if stuff went bad, he was out of there, right? He was running. And they are trying to change him into a mobile but pass-first, accurate passing pocket passer type quarterback. And I don't know that he'll be able to do that. And the entire future of the Buffalo Bills hinges on him being able to do that. So I hope he can. But like, it's just not a given, dude. It just doesn't happen. Like, it just doesn't. It's not a for
But
sure thing.
what they did with these other guys, right, is you give them weapons. You know, yeah, if you have fast receivers that can break any playoff, then that's where you go. Mahomes has it. Deshaun doesn't have it, so he's screwed. But Russell Wilson had it for the longest time when he had Doug Baldwin, Percy Harvin out there. Like he would just throw the ball too, and it was really frustrating. But I think the Bills are trying to do that, and so are the Ravens. Like they're giving them weapons. Like the Bills picking up Diggs. That's a
Yeah.
big deal. That's a big deal.
No, listen. I think the Ravens are going to be good. I think that Lamar Jackson as a quarterback will have a. I think it's more likely he regresses to the mean than all of a sudden he develops as a passer, like as this like market improvement. That's it.
You also, we haven't seen an athletic ability like this guy since Michael Vick.
That's
Been a
true.
quarterback this athletic, and so I think he can take the next step. And if not, I think he's got some time because it's going to take a while for defense to catch up to him.
I think he's going to have to take the next step because it's
I
for
agree.
sure that he can't get hit like he's been getting hit.
I agree, but I think he has some time. He has some time before defense catch up to him, I think they're going to be really good again this year. At least one more year.
All right. Let's finish
with
division
the West.
With the West.
I think this is very clear.
I think we can just move on. It's going to be Kansas City next question. Yeah, they looked amazing yesterday. They got better. Like you said, every single one of their receivers runs like a 4.1 40. But in the game yesterday, there was 2 touchdowns that actually the first one got called back, but the one where Tyreek Hill just ran just straight across the field, and they showed like it was one-on-one coverage, and it was just a sprint. He didn't make a move. Yeah. There was no pick play. It was just, I am going to run across the field faster than you did, and that's what happens. So
exactly.
And then
their slowest receiver is Travis Kelce, who's a monster, and
he's really, really good. So yeah,
also pretty fast. So
they're gonna win 12 games without thinking it.
Nobody stopping them.
And Andy Reid has the visor set up, and he's just like locked in, and he's ready to go, dude. He's the man.
They posted a picture. It was like Andy Reid watching the game, and it was just like the football game, but it was like a really foggy screen. You couldn't see it.
That's hilarious. I kept telling Jamie he's fogging up. I was like, look at him, he's fogging up. And then I saw a meme that was like, Andy Reid can't even see the field, and he's out coaching Bill O'Brien. All right. I'll just give you my 2 wild card teams. Wild card team number 1, I have
3 wild
in no
card
particular order, actually. Huh?
3 wild card teams.
I forgot.
That just blow your mind.
I don't even know how to handle that. It's so weird.
I think.
Are you sure that's this year? But it doesn't start next year?
That's this year.
Oh,
the weird thing is, that doesn't even throw me off that bad. I think the biggest change is going to be that only one team gets a bye.
That kind of sucks.
I think these teams are going to be playing like through week 17. Like if it's close, like if
it's going to make more teams matter.
Yeah, if the Chiefs and the Ravens or the Steelers or whatever are within a game of each other, they're going to have to play through week 17 to get that bye week. And I think it's going to make the week 17 games a little more exciting.
Dude, now I have to pick a third team. You go first.
All right. I have the Patriots, the Steelers, and the Denver Broncos. So Patriots and Steelers, I think we talked a lot about them. I think they're the solid picks there. You had the Steelers winning the division, and you never know, the Patriots might also win the division, but they're my 2 wildcard teams for sure. And I picked the Broncos my last pick. I like Drew Lock. I think the last couple games of the season last year, he played pretty well. They drafted well. They picked a receiver up for him. Their defense is solid. They lost Von Miller, so that kind of sucks. But other than that, they had a solid defense. I was going through and I'm like, I don't think you're right. Picking the third team was hard for me because I was like, yeah, it was very easy. I was like, oh, the Patriots and the Steelers are making the playoffs. And then I was like, well, every other team. I was like, I was kind of between them and the Chargers, but I went with the Denver Broncos.
So Drew Lock is like total. He could disappear off the face of the planet after the end of this year. Like I think he could have a terrible year, but I don't know. I don't believe in him at all. But he had a solid start, and so I don't know. I don't mind the Broncos, so we'll see. But I don't think they're going to do much. So I have the Patriots, the Ravens, and just looking at it real quick here, I went with Tennessee as my third because I don't know. I don't know who else to pick. I can't pick the Browns or the Bengals. Maybe the Chargers, but the Broncos and the Raiders, I think have absolutely no chance. The Jets and the Dolphins, I think have absolutely no chance, and the Jaguars have no chance. So I guess I don't believe in the Texans, but I don't know. But I also like now that I say that it's like two teams coming out of the AFC South. Like I don't see that happening either. But I think for sure, like you said for sure, you had the Patriots and the Steelers, and I had the Steelers winning the division, so I for sure have the Patriots and the Ravens.
Yeah. That last wild card. I don't know. I'm excited because it's gonna be a bunch of like 9 and 17 just fighting for that last wild card spot. Like
Yeah,
8 and 8 teams.
In the Hunt graphic will stay alive forever, dude.
Oh, it's gonna be going on till the last second of the last game of Week 17. It's gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be like
the last time I usually see the Bills in the Hunt graphic, they'd be like 6 and 6, and I'd be like, "Oh, we just got to win the last 4 in a row, and we're fine." But now, dude, it's gonna be like you could go 8 and 8.
Oh,
it's gonna be like 6 and 8 in the Hunt.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Like they're gonna be in the Hunt, and they're gonna be like, they're gonna go like to all these weird tiebreakers. They're probably gonna end up like flipping coins and stuff to see who gets in because everyone's gonna be like, "Yo, I'm 7-9 too."
Yeah, one of us has to go. All right, we got to pick up the pace here. Well, let's do the NFC before we get into our playoff situation.
Cool.
So let's just do the same order. Let's do the East. I'll go first. I'm taking Philadelphia. I mean, you can't go Washington or New York. I don't believe in Mike McCarthy in Dallas, really. Like, I think they have enough talent that they'll be okay, but I don't know. If I was a Dallas fan, I would not be thrilled that Mike McCarthy was there, and so I'm going with Philadelphia. I think Doug Peterson's a good coach. I think Carson Wentz is a good player, too, if he can stay healthy.
All right, that's a big if. I don't know if Carson Wentz
I hate being if he stays healthy guy because it's the worst take in sports. Like, dude, like the Bills are going to win the East if Josh Allen stays healthy. It's like if insert starting quarterback stays healthy. It's a terrible take, but he has.
It is, problems. But Carson Wentz gets hurt every year, so it's like.
It's like I don't know. I think I'm going with the Eagles.
You have to let in. I went with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys. I agree with Mike McCarthy. That was an iffy pickup there and I think without a training camp that hurt some. They didn't have they had a short training camp. They had no preseason. That's kind of a big deal, especially when you have a new head coach. But I think they have so much talent, dude. Their O-line isn't as good as it was the last couple of years, but they're still pretty good. Dak Prescott, he's pretty good. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league.
I think he's slightly above average.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And I mean, they have Amari Cooper. CeeDee Lamb's there now. I think he's going to be pretty good. I think that whole offense is that. Their defense, who knows?
Fun fact, Noblesville High School graduate and former kid that Jamie used to babysit and carry up the stairs at night to put in bed, Brandon Knight, is playing on the offensive line for the Cowboys.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Ask Jamie if we can meet him or something. Get us.
Yeah, maybe. I think Jamie's mom and Brandon Knight's mom are still friends. So we probably could.
That's pretty sweet.
You never know. All right.
Big Daddy.
I have in the South. I have New Orleans. It's like I'm not there on the Buccaneers. Okay, the Falcons don't scare me at all, and the Panthers don't. Who's playing? Who's playing quarterback with the
Teddy
Panthers?
Bridgewater.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That could get interesting.
I
I don't know.
it
I see them going like 6-10, 7-9. So I'm going New Orleans. They're always good. Drew Brees. He's still cranking out monster seasons. They're in that dome. They score a zillion points. I mean, New Orleans.
All right. So, I did want to have a crazy take on this one. I don't want everything to be, the best team from last year kind of thing, which is what I thought was going
I
on.
meant to bring that up actually. I looked for one and I just kept not finding one. I just couldn't find a crazy take. So I'm interested to hear what you say.
I figured the NFC South was the place to do it because that is just so crazy.
Yeah.
I went with the Falcons. So their offensive potential, I'm not saying their offense is good. Their offensive potential, I think, is one of the highest in the league. If my boy Todd Gurley does well, if Matt Ryan does well, if Julio Jones.
Is it because of former Wyoming running back Brian Hill?
Maybe it's because maybe Brian Hill's gonna come in like whenever Todd Gurley's knee gives out. Hopefully not. I want him to do well, but like their offense is just ridiculously talented. I mean, you got to remember, like a couple years ago, these guys were in the Super Bowl and they were a couple run plays away from winning it. Brutal. So, and a lot of teams still there. All the main components of that team are still there, including their head coach, which I don't know. Actually, no, the head coach is done, right?
Yeah.
It's the new guy that refuses to get fired.
Who is it?
The bald guy.
It was Dan Quinn.
No, it is. It still is.
Is it?
They refuse to fire him. Yeah.
All right. Well, then it's still the same guy, but they lost their offensive coordinator who went to
he went to San Francisco.
San Francisco. That's right.
That's who it was. Yeah, he's gone. But still, Dan Quinn's still there. They refuse to fire him for whatever reason.
Been there forever, dude.
Well, last year I think they were about to fire him, and then they somehow beat the Saints. And they're like, "Yeah, we'll keep him another year."
They're like, "That counts. That's good enough."
So I think I do have a big star. I don't know. You said we were going to talk about our surprise team. Spoiler alert: they're going to be my surprise team. They're projected to have 7.5 wins. That's their. Yeah, so I definitely think they can squeeze out 8 wins in a division that's honestly up for grabs. I think New Orleans. They're a very good team, but I don't know. It's a lot of pressure on Drew Brees to perform well, and he's getting older, so
he is old. It does matter.
He's old, and that does matter. I agree. Tampa Bay, I have no idea how Tampa Bay's gonna do. No clue how Tampa Bay's
gonna do. They could go undefeated.
And then Carolina, like you said, name 3 players.
Yeah, I can name 2. Yeah.
So I went the Falcons.
All right.
Who's a beast? Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go with the North.
Let's do the North, and I'll let you take this one.
I picked the Vikings. The Bears, Mitch Trubisky is not very good, and also neither is Nick Foles. So I think their offense is just gonna do that thing where they just not show up and then put their defense, which is very good, in very bad positions and make them look worse than they are. Khalil Mack can only do so much. So I think
they're gonna waste the greatest defensive line talent in like 30 years.
They don't have Aaron Donald.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
All right. The Lions. Well, they're the Lions.
Again, name 3 players.
I like Matt Stafford.
He'll throw for 4,000 yards, and then they'll go 6-10.
Yeah, their defense was okay. They had Darius Slay, but he left because he was tired of sucking. So, I think the Lions are going to continue to do Lion things.
Wouldn't it be
And
cool if they were just good?
I think it'd be awesome. I would love to
Like
see Lions in the playoffs. Like
in
that, like
my
the light blue
in
and
our
gray.
lifetime, right? Like the Lions, the Cardinals. I don't like to admit it, but the Bills. But like the like, I've never seen the Lions be good, ever. And
You've
it
seen
would
the
just be
Cardinals be
weird.
good.
It would just be cool if they went out and won 13 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of winning 13 games, the Packers won 13 games last year, and
Oh, they did.
they were. I didn't think they were that great.
They went to the
I
NFC Championship game.
yeah, but I didn't think they were. They got first of all, they did not do well, but
Yeah, but I'd take my team going to the AFC Championship game.
I mean, all day.
Yeah, but no, I totally agree with you. Like they don't seem good, and they won 13 games.
Look,
We'll
I
get
didn't
in.
look it up. But I assume they have a bunch of very close wins. I just assume that a lot of one touchdown wins.
They did.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay.
I just heard someone. I was listening to a sports talk radio show, and they were talking about how much they overachieved, and they won like 8 games by 7 or less points and stuff like that. Yeah,
that
they
makes sense.
absolutely did.
Well, I definitely think they're gonna regress. And honestly, I really like the Vikings. I think Dalvin Cook, once again, I don't want to say it, but if he stays healthy, Dalvin Cook's gonna be awesome. Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback. There's a reason he's making that money. You like that. And I don't know. Their defense is good too. Their D line is awesome.
You ever watch the Dan Patrick show or listen sometimes?
Yeah.
Well, Andrew Perloff went as Kirk Cousins, yelling "You like that" for Halloween, and he went to one side of the room and he would go, "You like that, you like that," and then he would walk back and he would go, "You like that." It was the greatest Halloween costume I've ever seen. I took the Minnesota Vikings. I think it's clear. I totally agree with you on Green Bay. I like Kirk Cousins as a quarterback. I think Minnesota's right there. They have good weapons. They play indoors now. I think everything's working for them. I don't like that everyone plays indoors. Like, I actually don't like it. But I also do think that it has certain advantages that especially decently offense teams can really take advantage of. But anyway, their stadium's really cool.
I agree.
But
if you have an awesome passing offense, you don't want half of your games to be in the snow.
yeah, like, or in the wind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Chicago and Buffalo, and you throw the you can have Josh Allen has the biggest arm in the game, and you can throw it as hard as you want. It doesn't matter. And I don't know. I just think Minnesota's I think it's easy. I think they're easily going to take it. And again, yeah, trying not to pile on, but I have a hard time seeing Green Bay do much at all. So
yeah, I agree.
All right, so Wes, let's finish it up.
Who's Green Bay's second receiver? Lazard? I don't know. Who knows? They got Devontae Adams, and they drafted a quarterback instead of a receiver.
Jordy Nelson from 2010, I believe, they rehired him. So I have no idea. I honestly have no idea.
Well, if they would have drafted one, we'd have a little bit more of a clue. I think Lazard is listed as their second, which Lazard last year I don't think did very much.
Yeah, you bring up the draft. That was mind blowing.
Yeah.
That they drafted. I don't know. They didn't. It's not like, okay, for sure quarterback. You're there. You take the quarterback. It's like they reached on a quarterback from the Mountain West in the first round. It's just very odd. And then Rodgers was just like pissed off about it. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I would be too.
Me too.
He's like, hey, I'm like one of the greatest generational talents, right? Like,
like I said, like even then you'd understand certain situations, but like taking in the first round, like he probably would have been there when they came around. I don't know what next pick they had. I don't know.
All right, let's go to the West. Here's the thing. Yeah. Like I said before, I think the Rams are going to win the NFC West. But if I had to make a completely unbiased pick, I'm taking Seahawks. as a Rams fan, I know never to doubt Russell Wilson. I think he's awesome. He's
He's so good.
really he's so good. It's ridiculous.
He's the best quarterback, like right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think he's better than Mahomes. I don't care what anyone says. Um,
I think in this moment, yeah, like I don't think he'll overall career wise be better, ceiling wise be better, but like I think like going into 2020, you take Russell Wilson.
I agree.
Yeah.
So last year Seattle ran the ball more than any team in the NFL, which is mind blowing when you have Chris Carson as your starting running back and Russell Wilson as your starting quarterback. I'm hoping. Actually, no, I'm not hoping. But if Seattle wants to win, they need to throw the ball more. They have good receivers. So yeah, they have awesome receivers. So much speed on that field. DK Metcalf is a monster.
He's
he can't turn. He turns like a submarine. But
well, he was playing. There was some game last year, and I was like, Jamie, you have to see a picture of this man like shirtless at the combine. Like he is like, it's like unbelievable that like people look like that. Like you're saying, like that doesn't make you a good NFL wide receiver, but he is like he's like a freak, dude.
And really, he gets the ball and he has some momentum. Yeah, good luck. You're gonna
just
take
to prove that I'm not weird. I'm looking it up. Go ahead.
No, man, I know what you're talking about. I've seen him.
No, I'm showing. I gotta have to show the listeners.
Cool. So
in case they don't know,
here's the thing. I think the NFC West is the best overall across the board division in the league. Like if you look at like projections, the Rams are projected to be the worst team, and they were like the number 4 ranked offense last year. Yeah, he's a monster. Like people should.
That's a cartoon drawing of what a person looks like.
Yeah, I think it was part of my take. They interviewed him. He said he squatted like 300 pounds, like in 6th grade or something. The man's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I was saying, like San Francisco, obviously they were in the Super Bowl last year. They're really good. And Arizona, I mean, depending on how Kyler Murray does, they have the best receiver. I think, in my opinion, the best receiver in the NFL right now. They have, Kyler Murray, who's an up and coming quarterback, and they still have, Larry Fitzgerald, who's older, but he can still catch the ball. And
he's cool, by the way. How cool is Larry Fitzgerald?
He's awesome. Christian Kirk's there. He's pretty athletic. He's an up and coming receiver. So I think, honestly, that division, it could be anyone. But if I had to not be a Rams fan, I would probably pick Seattle to win it.
What I realized is like an entire division could go to the playoffs in theory.
Yeah. Well, when we get to wild cards, I have 3 NFC West teams going to the playoffs for the NFC.
So you have the entire NFC West?
No, not the Cardinals.
Oh, no. You're saying you have 3 total. Okay.
3 total.
I picked Seattle as well. I don't need to rehash everything you said, but
they're really good.
I will say I agree with you that I think it's probably the best division, and
top to bottom is what I mean.
Yeah. And San Francisco can obviously make the playoffs. They were just there. I don't really believe in Kyler Murray, but he has the best receiver, like you said. He has like one of the historic Hall of Fame best receivers, and he has like the current best receiver. So and I think Cliff Kingsbury, their head coach, has a lot of potential. So I don't know. It's kind of a mystery. I wouldn't bank on them, but if they popped up and started getting real hot, I wouldn't be shocked or anything. So I don't know. That's just kind of how I see that. But all right, so let's do our wild card teams.
All right. You go first.
Okay. I took your division winner, Dallas. again, like I don't really believe in Mike McCarthy, but I think the team has so much talent that they'll find themselves winning 9 or 10 games and making the wild card for sure. I picked San Francisco as my second wild card team, kind of like we just said. It's like a stacked division, and I think it's either going to be Seattle or San Francisco, and I think they're both going to be right there. And then the one that doesn't win the division is going to make the wild card. And then I had to quickly pick my third, and because I forgot, like a real NFL fan, and I am taking the Buccaneers. I believe Bruce Arians is a good coach. Okay. I know that Tom Brady is great, even though he's old. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, he proves it over and over again. I think that Leonard Fournette could blossom because I think Leonard Fournette, maybe more than anyone, is going to be a case of like he was playing in Jacksonville and now he gets to play for Bruce Arians, who's a good offensive coach in a team that's way more skilled and have a good year.
When you played the Jaguars, you could put 11 guys in the box because it was either Blake Bortles or Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles throwing the ball to.
I heard someone the other day ripping Fournette. They were ripping Fournette for his average yards per carry, which is like his career average yards per carry is like 4.1, which is like kind of low average. But I was like, yeah, dude. Like,
the dude's getting hit on the line of scrimmage every play.
Yeah, what is he gonna do? So I think he could have a big year, and they actually have a pretty good defense. They have a good pass rush, and they have a good defense. So I don't know. It's like a witch's brew experiment. Like add this, add that, pull this guy out of retirement, get this guy who's 45, and then like stir it all together. But I think who knows? I think Bruce Arians could pull it off.
I mean, you also have to think Chris Godwin. As far as Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, as far as throwing, 3-step drop slants.
Yeah,
those are your guys.
It's like
Chris Godwin, Mike Evans all day, pick a 4 yard catch, over and over again. I think, the potential's there. I just don't know if it's gonna work.
Yeah.
All right, I went with San Francisco. Obviously, I picked the Rams. I do think that we are underrated. I might be a little biased, but I think that we can make the play. We would have made the playoffs this past year if it was this format. Just remember that we were one field goal away from making the playoffs. We had the same record as Seattle, and we lost to them by this far was the Greg Zuerlein missed field goal that would have given us a tiebreaker over Seattle.
Dude, Greg the leg?
Yeah, he missed it by like 2 feet. And we would have had this. If he would have made that, we would have had the same record and the tiebreaker. So we would have made it over Seattle last year. So we were that far from making the playoffs last year, and we had a bad year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I picked San Francisco, the Rams, and I picked New Orleans as my last two. I don't remember. I picked the Falcons earlier. So.
Oh yeah.
I think New Orleans does have a lot of talent, so it'd be weird not seeing them in the playoffs. I definitely think they'll make it. I left Tampa Bay out. I think it's there, but I don't know. I don't trust it. It's weird.
No, it makes sense. It could go 6-10 or 12-4. I have no dog in the NFC West fight, so I'll be cheering for the Rams. But I just don't buy Jared Goff like at all. And I think that Sean McVay, my good friend who stood next to me in the International Customs arrivals line at LAX in 2018 for 45 minutes. We discussed some football things. I didn't say hi. I think he's good and he masks a lot of it. But I don't believe in Jared Goff. And so I think they could sneak in, but I kind of see an 8-8 year. And I don't.
Well, the thing about this is I think an 8-8 team can make the playoffs in this format.
You're right. You're definitely right.
That and I think our defense is awesome. We got Aaron Donald. We have a very good defensive line, and I don't know how. I don't know where the Rams. I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know how salary caps work. I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna say it.
They had $1 million. I was listening to this on a radio show. If you
We were
just
over
looked
the
up,
cap.
if you just Googled last year, like which teams have the most salary cap, the Rams had $1 million left, and and then you can talk about the signing they just made.
So we were over the cap this year. We were over the cap by $400,000. They
Yeah.
signed, Jalen Ramsey for 5 years, $1 gazillion million,
Crazy.
and
They immediately made Trey Way not the highest paid quarterback.
$105 million, right? Over 5 years. And now we're $7 million under the cap. Like,
It's crazy.
They-
It's all witchcraft.
it is. I'll tell you that much. Like, whenever we make it big and we're like discussing sports, like we're gonna have to hire someone to come teach us how salary caps work, so that we don't sound stupid in front of our national audience.
No, I agree. You're definitely right because like there's a website called Sport Rack, SPORTRAC, and they're really good for if you want to know a player's contract. Like type in their name and it'll show you like exactly how much they're earning, how much guaranteed, and when they're a free agent and all that. And yeah, sometimes I'll just be like, how are they paying this person? Like, how does this work? I don't understand the money. And they'll just be like, oh, so and so restructured, and that'll free up this. It's
Yeah.
all, dude.
We converted this salary to a signing bonus. Blah,
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's crazy.
all right. Yeah, I'd be so broke if I was in the
Should
NFL.
we do like? Should we do our AFC, NFC championship game and our Super Bowl, and then do our MVP disappointment surprise, or should we like? Which way should we go?
I think we should do our disappointment surprise MVP, and then we'll leave the championship games and the Super Bowl till the end.
Okay.
Cool.
So let's start with disappointment.
All right. I think it's gonna be Tampa Bay. I think there's
a lot of hype there.
There's so much hype. I think it's ridiculous. They have like the stars team where they brought everyone together. They have all the studs from the last 20 years all on one team, and I think the potential is there. But I think they're in a decent division. They're playing the Saints, who are a couple calls away from the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and
Yep.
maybe last year they did pretty good last year too. And that's with Drew Brees being out half the season.
Yep.
And then they got who I have winning the Falcons, who are potentially one of the most talented teams in the league. So I think they're in a stacked division. I think all that hype is. I'm not saying they're going to do bad. I'm saying they're not going to live up to the hype. That's what I don't think they're going to be up to where everyone says they are.
The hype is real.
Yeah. So I went with Tampa Bay.
So I went with a team we touched on earlier that I believe, neither of us had them even making the wild card. And as we've discussed, you might be able to make the wild card with 9 wins. But I'm going with Green Bay. And it's like we said, the hype isn't real. They don't have much hype, but you come off a 13-win season and you go to the NFC Championship, and then I think they're going to win 7 or 8 games. I mean, that would be a huge drop-off, especially like the last part of Aaron Rodgers' absolute prime. He could play for a long time, but his absolute athletic prime it's coming to an end, and I think they're gonna blow it. So I'm thinking the Packers.
You think it's his last year in Green Bay?
I think if they do as poorly, I think if they have as bad of a year as I think they're going to, then I would say yes.
I think if they don't make the playoffs, I think he's gone.
Me too. Cool. I think he's kind of fed up. And he seems kind of like a temperamental kind of,
he's a total diva.
Kind of guy.
He's a diva.
Yeah.
Total diva. All right.
Yeah.
Surprise team. I said mine already. I said the Falcons. The talent, the potential is all there. I think they're gonna have a good season again. Every 3 years they do all right.
Yeah, that's true. So I picked that was like your kind of divisional reach. Mine isn't a reach as much because the division is not that good, but I don't think many people are taking them to win the division, and I took the Colts. So I think, like I said, I think they're going to squeeze a little bit more out of the toothpaste tube, but that is Phillip Rivers. And I think Frank Reich's actually a really good coach. And I think that the Colts will win the division when most people don't even, see them making the playoffs.
The linebacker is a stud.
Yeah, Darius Leonard. He's an absolute monster.
Yeah, okay. Sweet.
All right. My MVP is this is the easy way out, okay? But I think it's going to happen, dude. It's just going to happen. He's going to be the second time he won. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be on probably the team with the best record, and he's going to have unbelievable, crazy monster stats throwing to the guys he throws to. We already mentioned they're all super fast, or they're Travis Kelce. And Patrick Mahomes, he's going to be the MVP again. He's just so talented.
For all our listeners, Travis Kelce's not slow. We keep saying we keep saying all these fast guys or Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
Travis Kelce's very fast.
That's why it's funny. Yeah, he's also huge.
So when I was writing all this down, and I picked the Falcons to win this is my imaginary world, my imaginary scenario where Falcons are division. And I was like, well, if the Falcons win the division, Matt Ryan has to win the MVP. And that's why
that'll be his second too, I believe.
I think so too. So I picked Matt Ryan. I think if he has an MVP caliber season, then the Falcons are winning that division and vice versa. So I have thrown for a million yards to Julio Jones this year.
I like the pick. It's as opposite of going out on a limb as I didn't do. So one of us had to. No, that's good. All right. Cool. Let's start with the AFC Championship game. Who do you have?
All right, it was funny because I was kind of making fun of you for making this pick earlier. I'm not really making fun of you, but arguing against you. But I have the Pittsburgh Steelers playing in Kansas City.
Dude, so do I.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
So, I stand by everything I said earlier. But I think once it comes playoff times, you're playing in the cold. I think the experience of Big Ben, and the fact that their defense is just very good. I think they had one of the best defenses in the AFC, if not the best defense in the AFC. And, once it comes playoff time, I think usually the team with the better defense in the cold weather games is, they're the ones that are going to make it. They're the ones that are going to win the game. So I have a Pittsburgh in Kansas City.
I agree with you. And I kind of thought, I can't imagine Big Ben never making another run. You know what I mean? And it's I think he's going to go on another run, and I see the team. I think they have the team, like you're saying, with the defense to do it this year. So it's why not? So I have the exact same.
If it's going to happen, it has to happen this year because he's also running out of time.
Yeah, he's definitely running out of time.
It's weird seeing the quarterbacks we grew up with leaving the game.
It is weird.
Like Phillip Rivers. We grew up with Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning. I was gonna say the exact same thing. And now they're now it's all these new kids that we can call them kids now because we're old.
It's how quarterbacks from the '80s, but you've never seen them. Yeah. It's when we're talking to our kids, we're gonna be telling them about like Phillip Rivers. To our era, everyone knows him, but because he never won anything real,
he's gonna be the Dan Marino of our era.
We're gonna have to tell our kids that he was a person.
I swear he was good. Yeah, Phillip Rivers was really good.
Yeah. It's so weird.
He's gonna be a less famous Dan Marino for us to try to explain to people.
I think he's gonna be a way less famous Dan Marino. Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy because growing up in our generation, you think the good quarterbacks, you're crazy not including Phil Rivers in that big group of quarterbacks. Yeah. And the issue was he was playing in the same era as Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger. That was his issue. He was, put him in any different time gap, he might be.
Darn it, dude. San Diego is just they just can't. help themselves, but do something dumb to not win. You know what I mean? Like they're just like the missing field goals, the wrong fumble, the weird play. Like no one loses games weirder than the Chargers.
They're
And it's
always
just
in the game in the fourth quarter.
always.
They're always in the game, and it's like
Yeah.
it's a weird afternoon game. Like it's sunny.
There's some weird
And
penalty. It's just it's like an onside kick. There's something that just takes him out, and you're like, come on.
you were so close. You were so
That was his whole career, dude. I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's weird.
Dude, yeah, it's weird. I was just thinking, it's obviously it's like that for quarterbacks, but like, how much? This is another podcast, but I'll just bring up one more. Like, how much will like kids who learn the game from now on, will they just like know LaDainian Tomlinson? Like, will that be like for sure? Like, obviously they know who that is.
People
I
don't
don't
even
know.
talk about him that
Like
much.
immediately, I would be like, yeah, but
But people don't talk about him that much.
I know it's weird.
Crazy.
That's weird. All right, I'll do my NFC pick. I have Seattle at New Orleans. I don't know. I don't have much to say about that. I just because we kind of already broke it down. I think kind of like I feel like I see Big Ben making one more run. I think I see Sean Payton and Drew Brees making one more run, and I think they're going to be right there in the NFC Championship game again.
All right. So this one, then it's hard for me because I dislike most of the teams that I put in my own playoffs. So, I have Dallas playing in Seattle. I can't imagine. So I can, but I think with all that talent, I think it's only a matter of time before Dallas makes it back to the NFC Championship game. I think this is as good a year as any. With there's so much talent there, I think they can make it, and I think it all depends on how Mike McCarthy plays. I think offensively, if they feed Ezekiel Elliott, they can beat anyone. If they feed him the ball, that's going to open up all the receiver talent, and they can beat anyone. I honestly do believe that.
I hear you. I just feel like Mike McCarthy is kind of mediocre, and the offense was kind of mediocre, and the defense, and that Aaron Rodgers is like one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, and he made Mike McCarthy look like he didn't suck. And so, while I think I agree with you. I think you're right about the roster and the talent. I just don't, at least especially in the first year, see Mike McCarthy taking him there. But it wouldn't be shocking either. So it's interesting that after all said and done, we go through all the divisions and the wild card teams, and we have a lot of differences there. That at the end of the day, in the championships, we agree on 3 of the 4 teams that are going to be there: Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Seattle. So
at the end of the day, we will see. You know who the best.
At the end of the day, we're kind of taking off who was good last year.
Yeah, they're like, you know who the best teams are. You know what's gonna happen. Well, not you know what's gonna happen. But you know who the best teams are. Yeah.
There's no preseason. There's no. Yeah, I don't know. So you kind of have to, but. All right, let's do it. Let's do our Super Bowls. You go first.
Cool. I have Seattle and Pittsburgh. And the Seahawks playing the Steelers, and I hate to say this, but I have the Steelers. I mean, the Seahawks winning. I think they're the better team, and I think, like you said earlier, I think Russell Wilson's the best quarterback in the league right now. Like, if I had to choose a team to build around, it'd be Russell Wilson. I think single-handedly he elevates whatever team he's on. Regardless of the amount of talent that they choose or not choose to put around him. I think he's able to win the game on his own accord. So I have Seattle winning it over Pittsburgh.
I took Kansas City over Seattle in the Super Bowl. I think
repeat.
I think we're going to see the first repeat since 2004, I think. And as much as we've talked about how good the offense is and Patrick Mahomes, I think at the end of the day, Andy Reid is the man. I really like him. I think that he's a great coach. I think that he's been a great coach since Donovan McNabb and the Eagles, and they went to the Super Bowl in 2005. And I think he's going to get another one. I think he's finally got over the hump. He finally won the Super Bowl, and I don't see them stopping. I have no reason to see them stopping now. And so, like you said, I think Seattle gets there. I think Russell Wilson's really good. And I think Pete Carroll's a pretty good coach too. But I think it's just an overwhelming onslaught on offense. And they're going to be paying. Kansas City's going to be playing with the lead all year, and that really just takes its toll on teams.
You say that, but what worries me, thinking about the playoff last year, which is all really we have to work off of, except for like the Thursday night game where they were playing a crappy Texans team, but they were behind double digits in every game. And granted, those were good teams they were playing against, but
they're better.
There's only so many times you can do that. And I think if they have slow starts again, especially with a defense like Pittsburgh, like if Kansas City goes and they go down, if Kansas City starts the game and they go down, 2 touchdowns against the Pittsburgh Steelers and that defense, I don't think they come back. I think Mike Tomlin's a good enough coach to know to run the ball and kill some time.
I think almost anyone would. Yeah. Well, there you go. We have a lot of agreement and
maybe a little more disagreement.
Yeah. We'll just see. We'll see. It's going to be an exciting year for sure, and it's just getting going. But I'm kind of in like I have no reason to think they won't do it again state of mind, and so we'll see. But anything could happen if they stay healthy.
If they stay healthy. All right, man.
All right.
Go Rams.
Go Bills. Talk to you soon.